This is The Extra Point, an Arizona's Family Originals podcast, sponsored by your Phoenix Suns.
All right, let's talk Arizona Cardinals here on the Extra Point podcast. Martin McClune, Julia Lopez, Nick King, sports team assemble here at Arizona's Family Sports. Love the beat coming in right there for the Extra Point podcast. Cardinals get beat on Sunday, and as we process this, are we surprised?
Not so much.
No. No, but I was surprised with how good of a game it was in the first half. I was really looking forward to the second half, and obviously things didn't go like planned.
Hope about the way they played, or more exposed for their weaknesses? What a loss always seems to just cast a negative cloud over the team on Monday. But heading into this week's game against the Rams, do we feel like the Cardinals could win this game?
Yes. I'm probably more interested now in these next two games here and what they look like against teams that aren't supposed to be like super upper echelon. Strange turn here to take it to the Phoenix Mercury, but that team has been largely like beat all the bad teams, lose to all the good teams all season. Like, are the Cardinals going to be that kind of solid middle ground team, which is kind of what I felt like going into the season that they would be, and that it would have been a surprise to beat a Bills team that I know people aren't quite as high on, but still think as long as Josh Allen's there, they ought to be pretty good. But they should be capable of beating the Rams. Like, the Rams should not be an unbeatable team to them. At home, first game at home, like, yeah, I think they should win this next game.
Vertical passing game. I was in Buffalo. The wind was certainly a factor. We were talking before about this. When Marvin Harrison Jr. dropped the ball thrown to him in the second quarter, it definitely took a turn. Like, the wind was a factor. He should have caught the ball. I think he kind of got caught in between and probably thinking, oh, my God, this is my first NFL catch, instead of just, like, making plays. And, you know, as a young guy, maybe just got the yips a little bit. But the vertical passing game was not there for a number of reasons. I think the wind was a big reason why. I also think Jonah Williams leaving with an injury as right tackle was a huge reason why, because they didn't want to push things down the field. They were letting the play clock go all the way down to inside 5 seconds, just trying to get out of Buffalo with a win. Do we expect explosive plays from this team in week 2 based on what we saw in week 1?
I'd like to see a lot more. Yeah, the lack of it. I mean, Kyler having 30 passing yards in the second half, and the win totally makes sense. And the way they're being defended is going to be used. I know that's what Kyler and Jonathan Gannon are going to talk about after the game, and take what the defense is giving you. But I feel like there has to be more dictating something explosive, because they have enough weapons to make it look more interesting than that.
Yeah, they have the talent. We've seen it. They just got to utilize it.
Yes. Who do they need to utilize more? Is Marvin Harrison Jr. at the top of your list?
Trey McBride, I think, is the go-to guy, right? He's like the consistent guy that you want to give the ball to, because he's got great hands, size, and he's going to give you extra yardage every time he catches the ball.
It looked like he and Marvin Harrison Jr. were pressing a little bit and started pressing more as the game went along, trying to make a play. I kind of want to ask Kyler this on Wednesday. Should they adjust their preseason strategy and play in the preseason? Do we think it would help?
Which would not be the first time that conversation would be had.
How do you think that would go? Hey, I'm going to ask the question. You just give me Kyler's answer. Would you adjust, based on your results in week 1, would you adjust your preseason strategy next year and play in the preseason?
No. F no.
There we go. Hopefully we're not taking that one live. I mean, it is a long season, but this was a winnable game. It was one that, you know, you're going to look in December and be like, man, if they'd beat the Bills, where would they be right now? I mean, do we feel like this could be a playoff team, or is this just? I feel like they're going to be in every game, but their margin for error is very thin because they don't have a lot of depth. I would like to see them use some of that cap money that's out there. That I was hoping like a Hassan Reddick would come in and wreck shop rushing the passer. I don't know that the Cardinals are going to be a playoff team, but they kind of looked like one in the first 2.5 drives, right?
I think that they can be one, honestly. And I'm like, I've bought into this culture just because we get to cover it all the time, and just the mindset that Jonathan Gannon brings, Monty Austin for it, and the players are really, really into this, and it's completely different than last year. Like, it's a completely different mentality, and I don't know. I'm just like really looking forward to it, and I think that they can make it to the playoffs and as a wild card.
Well, how you can only sell culture for so long. You have to start stringing together victories. Like last year, it's like, okay, these guys know how to win games. Get Marvin Harrison Jr. Load up the roster and try to knock at the door of the playoffs. Would we be satisfied if this team is in the hunt and maybe doesn't get there? Can you sell that to the fan base for another year here, or are people finding other things to do with their Sundays because there hasn't been some really fun football to talk about around here in a while?
Yeah, I think if you're floating around 500, 8-9 wins, and you don't get in, I think that's enough of a step forward, given the deficiencies still on defense, especially. But these next couple of weeks, I think, are huge. Like, you can't afford to get off to a 0-4 start with 3 losses at home, or a 1-5 start, or that. Like, they need a couple wins early to keep people in it.
So where are the wins going to come from? The Rams this week. When?
I think it's doable.
Doable?
Commanders have to beat them.
So Lions is not happening. Okay, the good news is we have post-game shows after the Rams and after the Commanders games. So I'll take that. So you're 2-2 out of September. Yeah?
Yeah.
Or you think they beat the Lions?
I'll go yes.
Okay, so 3-1. All right. Then they go to San Francisco. J-Lo's making the trip up. Anyway, they beat the defending NFC champs.
I don't think so.
If McCaffrey's still inactive by then. Maybe.
Right. No, I still think it's going to be, They have Debo. They have Kittle.
Yeah.
And that defense is insane.
Right. Okay, so we're giving them, so let's say 2-2, 2-3, 2 Lambeau, Jordan Love. Don't know if he'll be there. Maybe a win. You're 500. What do you think? 2 Lambeau? Do you win at Lambeau?
Definitely possible.
Well, the interesting
but like those
thing,
are the games, I think. It's like the Packers, the Commanders, the Rams.
Right.
Maybe Packers and Rams feel a bit more like teams that are good enough or expected to be good enough to be in the playoffs, but they're not. You don't look at them as like the 49ers or even the Lions.
Right.
So like those
don't get hurt in those games.
Those are the teams you have to beat. Yeah.
Well, and it was interesting for so many years, and I'm old, the Cardinals would go on the road to the East Coast and just get annihilated, especially with an early game on the East Coast. So the way they were able to come out and set the tempo against Buffalo, I think that I'm trying not to be a homer here, but I'm really talking myself into the first half was the Cardinals, especially if you have Jonah Williams back at right tackle. The second half, I'm going to chalk up to a lot of the elements and having not played a game together. Like I think if I'm a Cardinal player, I can sell that to myself in my mind. Am I too much of a homer there? Do you want to go get me a glass of Kool-Aid, or is that a fair assessment?
I think that's fair, and I think listening to Roy Lopez today, that like that's kind of where they're at, really, and even Jonathan Gannon, like that's a good team on the road. Everything that you just mentioned, they're right there. It's a couple of plays, but that's, as you talked about, the margin for error being so thin. Like it's probably what it's going to be most of the season. Is a couple of plays here and there. Like, are they making the plays or are they not?
All right, so 3-3 coming out of the Packer game. We're going to give them a win at Lambeau. Is that too ambitious?
I think it's doable.
I don't think J-Lo agrees with you.
It's not going to be snowing yet, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm excited about Lambeau. Then Chargers Monday Night Football. Win?
Don't know enough about them yet.
All right, I'm gonna say 4-3.
Okay.
Chargers. Then at Miami. I don't think that's a win. You're going in there on Friday. You're going to South Beach. Early game. Nick King's going to have 3 days in South Beach.
What? Everybody watch out.
How are you going to top my morning show live shots out on the road?
I was already thinking
what
about
national park are you going to go to?
The Everglades.
Take a boat around?
Have a gator in there somewhere. There's not going to be any topping the Niagara Falls live shot.
Yeah. That was we ran into one there. And we also almost got thrown out of a national park.
Gus did something.
to reset. Okay, our photographer, our trusty sports photographer, John Gustafson, and I went to Niagara Falls on Saturday morning and met up with about 40 members of the Bird Gang Travel Club, who were amazing. Tyler Vasquez does a great job there with his brother Austin was in town, and so we got to the scenic overlook. Here, I can probably play a clip from here. So we got to the scenic overlook to say, hey, good morning, Arizona, and had a lot of fun with that. And then we went on the Made in the Mist. But here you go. I'm going to play them here.
We're at Niagara Falls. Take a look in. Beautiful out here. And we're with all my friends, the Bird Gang Travel Club on 3. 1, 2, 3. Good morning. We're coming right back.
All right, so the Everglades, you got to find them. Okay, then this is getting a little campy here, but yeah. So then we went on the Made of the Mist boat. Can I show that one to you too? Or
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know how good of a podcast this is, but okay, here we go.
With the Arizona Cardinals, we're at Niagara Falls. Much different weather than the Valley today. What do we say, guys? Good morning, Arizona.
There we go.
Right back from Niagara Falls.
And then
Gus loved this.
Bill's,
That's
yes. Gus is like, the camera's gonna get wet. I'm like, that's the point, dude. No, he had fun. I think Gus had a really good time.
And the wings, were the wings as good as you thought?
They were good. Like in Buffalo, they were good, but it's like I feel like you can get good wings a lot of different places. So
Maybe the expectations were too high.
yeah, like I just think there's not a whole lot to buffalo wings. Like you put some buffalo sauce on there. I mean, it was cool going to the Anchor, the very first place that apparently had buffalo wings. So when in Buffalo, hit up the Anchor.
Okay.
We did go out with Ron Wolfley on Friday night
Nice.
and ordered some wings at this place called Bada Bing and watched the Packers and the
Bada Bing
Yes.
from The Sopranos.
That's right. That was a house of ill repute, though, wasn't it?
Yes.
This is more of a sports bar. Okay, yeah.
Oh,
But I had wings in Buffalo with Ron Wolfley. That was fantastic.
How many did he eat?
I think I finished a bunch of them for him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think he's very health conscious.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe back in the day he could have crushed him with a lucky strike at the end. So, all right. So 4-3 Chargers. Dolphins lost 4-4. Then you got the Bears and the Jets at home. You get one of those.
Yeah, you better get one of those.
So you're 5-5.
Can't
you
lose
got-
to the Bears.
Okay, so Bears 5-5. Then you got Seahawks at home at the Vikings to round out Thanksgiving. 5-5. Could you be 7-5, or are you going to go 5-7 there?
Ooh,
You beat the Seahawks at home. Can you
I'd lean
control the
closer
run
to
game?
7-5 than 5-7 there.
Okay, so you could beat the Seahawks and the Vikings.
Mhm.
You think? Okay. So then you got Seahawks 2 times in 3 weeks. So you go Seahawks at home the Sunday before Thanksgiving at the Vikings. Then you got you're at the Seahawks first. Then you got Seahawks Patriots back to back to start December. So you're 7-5. Can you beat the Seahawks twice? Could you go 9-5?
Man, now we're cooking. I mean, that's a good team if they're 9-5.
9-5 with how many to play? 1, 2, 3, with 4 to play.
Woo.
Could you be 9-5 with 4 to play? Based on what we saw on Sunday.
It's such a small sample size.
Right.
But yeah, I just think that the potential is there, and I just feel like if they utilize it, get a little bit, more dangerous, and not be afraid to make these plays or try to attempt them, I feel like that they can make some noise.
It feels like the only teams that would be super afraid of are teams that are really good offensively, and like whether you can keep up with them. But it's not that the Seahawks or a couple other teams can't be good offensively, but like if they're not, it's like the Niners and I guess the Rams to a lesser extent, as long as Stafford's there, and the Jets if Rodgers, after watching him for just a little bit, he looks like Rodgers. The teams that can be really good offensively and that you have to keep up with, that seems like a bit of a task, because it feels like the defense is going to give up a lot of points.
Right.
But anyone that's kind of middle of the road, like this offense should be good enough to hang close to 30 points a game.
Wow. I'm here for it. Even if you lose, I'm here for watching,
Right.
38-35 games. That's for sure. This is overstating the obvious. Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to need more than one catch for that to happen, correct?
Yeah.
How alarming was it in both of your minds to see him running through the Bills secondary with nobody within 5 yards of him, with the game on the line, and Kyler Murray not throw him the football to win the game? or to go ahead. Maybe Josh Allen turns into Superman. But is this we've talked a lot about Kyler not being able to see the field. Should he have made that throw based on everything?
I don't think it's an obvious one because of the pass rush and where he was turning to, like what his reads were there. But I also think that like that is a real thing, that his height is a real thing, that it might have been something easier seen by Josh Allen at 6'5" than for Kyler. Once he gets lost in there with all the linemen, I think it is tougher for him to see it, but not like alarming, like, holy cow, how do you not see that? I think it's reasonable as to why he didn't, but I think, that's something that you're going to always going to be there with Kyler, just with the height.
Julia, we're taller than you.
Yes.
So you can offer a unique perspective on
Thank
this. Can Kyler Murray be elite in the NFL, in your opinion, based on his height?
Yes, he's been this height his entire career, right? So, and he's been competing at the highest level too. So, I think a lot of people are taking that one play and running with it and just saying, oh, he's too short. Like, I think that's a crutch. I feel like a lot of people just go straight to that. How about the other things that he can do? He can run. He can, extend plays. He's got an arm, and he's got now weapons and, pretty solid offensive line. So I really do feel like he's got everything around him. Now he just needs to put it together.
Kurt Warner tweeting, Dan Orlovsky retweeted him saying he hates freeze frames and breaking this down. And it was interesting to see Kurt Warner coming to the defense of the current Cardinal quarterback, the former Cardinal quarterback. But he said exactly, louder for all the people in the back. Stop doing just screen grabs without knowing the whole situation. So a lot goes into the play. I don't remember Kurt Warner missing a lot of throws like this. I know Joe Namath missed one that was in Super Bowl III. Don Maynard running all by his lonesome, and Joe Namath was like the father of the forward passing game. If that's what you get here on the Extra Point Podcast. All right, let's listen to Orlovsky and let's see what he has to say here.
Kyler's going to throw that slot, kind of replace hot, and then that defender jumps. Okay, so we're in danger of batted ball, tipped ball, interception, whatever. So he goes to reset, and he goes to work to his left. Okay, now he's in work to the left, work left. He's still working left, still working left. As he retraces here, you might sit there and say, "Oh my gosh, how do you not see him?" But you got to remember, he's right now. Again, you're thinking, "Am I hot? Am I warm?" So as he goes there, it's like, I got to get the ball in my hands. I got to.
Yeah, he does. And the fact that he was being harassed by the Bills defense the entire second half, he looked right. Harrison wasn't open. The moment it's almost just bad timing.
Mm-hmm.
He looks left, works over there, and then at the very last moment, the clock in his head is, you have to get rid of this. Makes an incredible throw to Dortch, but it's the optics aren't good. Is this going to be an issue, him having to I feel like Kyler has taken a lot of heat, probably more than any quarterback in the National Football League, based on his demeanor the past couple years. How much is this going to impact just the mojo around the team?
I think his demeanor is a lot better.
I agree. Absolutely.
In the game, after the game, I think it's a lot better. That he has grown up quite a bit. And yeah, I think Julia's probably right that like making too much out of one play here, but probably not making too much out of 3 targets, 1 catch for the guy you drafted 4th overall.
I think it's a better stat line if it's indoors. So what are our expectations for MHJ this weekend inside the Dome in Glendale at home against the Rams?
12 catches for 150 yards.
Whoa, how many fantasy points is that?
That's a lot, probably.
12 catches. So you think he just...
No, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think it'll obviously, I think this is like, okay, we have one of the best wide receivers in the league. Like, you got to utilize them. And I feel like now's the time. Why not?
Would we be happy with 6? 6, close to
6 is
100
good.
yards? 6 is good. Yes.
I was going to say 7 or 8, so yeah.
7 or 8,
But
okay.
somewhere between 6 and 8 catches would be solid.
Okay,
For
so
how many yards, though?
65.
6. Okay, so if he does that, you can talk yourself into 38, 35 points. Yeah, I mean, what do we think it's going to take for it to beat the Rams this weekend? And this is me asking this because I didn't watch much of the game yesterday. I was in Buffalo as people were beat. I don't know the people beat on the press box after scores. They turn around and start hammering the press box. So
That's awesome.
Yeah. So based on the Rams without Aaron Donald, the force that they were with Aaron Donald.
And no Puka Nakua this week.
Right.
Yeah.
That's huge. That's huge. I mean, Cooper Kupp, is he still dynamic or is he on the decline?
He had an unbelievable catch on the sideline last night, but
standing on the sideline, or was he actually in the game? Was he? I didn't see this. Yeah.
In the game, toe tapping along the sideline.
Okay, so he's back.
I don't know. Like, that catch was incredible, but I'm not sure that he was the same guy throughout the game.
And you got to remember Kyron Williams, too. They have a really solid running game as well.
He torched the Cardinals last year, didn't he?
Yeah.
The game
That's
in
right.
Glendale.
That's right. All right, so let's finish this up as we talk Cardinals here with the rest of the schedule. As we, we're going to talk quick Diamondbacks as well. Okay, so Bears and Patriots. We're talking 9-5 at that point. Is that do we need to walk that back?
Yeah, maybe a little.
Okay.
8-6 is probably
8-6.
sounds great.
All right, so let's go into week 14, 8-6. So we're gonna maybe they lose Bears Jets. Oh no, maybe they lose a game to the Seahawks.
Yeah, maybe split with Seattle.
Okay, so all right, Patriots after that, we're gonna say that's a win at home on Arizona's Family CBS 5. To the Panthers. Nick King going back to where it all started in college. Yeah. That's
Better
a
win that.
Better win that. You finish the year at LA and home to San Francisco.
Yeah.
So that's
9-8.
yeah. Is 9-8 good enough to get you in? And can you beat the Rams and or the Niners the last 2 weeks to get in?
That'd be fun
be
if that's
so
what
fun.
was on the line.
Right.
I mean, maybe the Niners are resting people there.
Yeah. Maybe they are. You think no? I mean, is the Niners? You have an affinity for the Niners. You've watched the Niners quite a bit in your life.
Yeah. No, I feel like it just depends on, obviously, how the Cardinals do up until then. And if
Right.
there's like a lot riding on the line, if like they're riding like that high,
Yeah.
they can absolutely take one of those two.
Well, if they beat the Rams this weekend, we have to think they could go to LA week 17 and potentially beat the Rams if the Rams are, you never know with teams like that are older and maybe, injury if the injuries pile up and Stafford gets knocked out, maybe they're a team that's playing for a draft pick next year. So, all right, so we're saying 9-8, knocking at the door for the playoffs. Get the ball to MHJ. Not concerned about the running wide open. Although Kyler Murray should have. I mean, it all falls on the quarterback's shoulder. I know it was difficult. He should have made that throw, right?
It would have been cool.
Right.
It would have been a pretty finish.
Are we having a completely different conversation today if Marvin Harrison Jr. is throwing the ball and he catches it in the end zone?
Yeah, we're probably talking about a 15-2 team right now.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll see what happens this week with the Rams. We will have a post-game show. Real quick, Diamondbacks. What do you do at first base? Does Pavin Smith just take the place of Christian Walker and Josh Bell?
Oh my gosh.
Like, what do you do? I mean, Gurriel's on the DL, or the injured list, so you got some time to play with it. But the dude's hot. He's got to be in the lineup, right? You take out Jock Peterson?
Oh gosh.
Nah, Pavin, that was incredible on Sunday, hitting the 3 home runs. But he's not going to stay in the lineup. No, there's no space for him.
Yeah, that's Christian Walker's position.
Right.
Like that's he's first base all the way, and you got to have his bat, and he's got to it's got to wake up.
Right.
And Josh Bell and Jock Peterson are going to hit when they're not playing as DHs.
No, we'll call upon Pavin Smith once again in the postseason.
The thing is that offense isn't the problem.
Which is crazy.
I know.
They built this team around pitching. Who saw this coming?
No chance.
I'm trying to remember back in the preseason, there was no talk of our offense we're gonna score 20 more runs than the Dodgers at least, right? I mean, if I'd have told you that back in March, you'd have told me what?
Like, where's it coming from?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's
And Christian Walker would miss a considerable amount of the season.
And Cattell
Right.
at this point, and Like the
Gabby?
base stealing's so down too.
That's
They're doing it in
huge.
such a different way.
And Corbin was not Corbin for. I mean, it doesn't make and I mean it doesn't make sense.
No.
Like, yeah, Gino Suarez. Like, I don't even. How is this even happening with his first half and Corbin's first half? That makes no sense.
It's baseball, though, right?
That's
It
it.
makes no sense.
I know it really doesn't, but we love it.
Torrey's patience rewarded.
Yeah.
With both of those guys.
Yeah, he rode with his guys. Who's his starting pitching staff, by the way, for the postseason?
My goodness.
If they get there.
18 games to
You
play.
gotta
as we
go
record
what?
this.
Brandon Fott?
But is he fatigued? Is that like? I almost think he's thrown so many innings that it's just kind of catching up with him. After what happened, what was that Friday in Houston?
Yeah. Well, do you go Gallon one?
Yeah.
You
At
have
this
to,
point.
right?
Unless, I mean,
Yeah.
it's interesting. The next 3 weeks are probably going to dictate so much of
Right.
what that looks like. But right now, it's probably Gallon, Kelly, Fott, Nelson, I think.
And
do
no
move on
Rodriguez?
Nelson. Right. That's the strangest thing. I mean, what Eduardo Rodriguez and Jordan Montgomery. I mean, how much money is that not making a postseason start?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is insanity that they spent all that money on those two guys. And if the playoffs started tomorrow, they would be riding with the same guys they had last year. Because Ryan Nelson was available. They just didn't trust him.
Right.
But now I think he is trustworthy. He's certainly been the most trustworthy of anyone on the staff for the last couple of months now.
Who do you trust to close
Oh,
the ninth inning against the Padres to go to the playoffs?
that's one
Do you
of the
bring back
toughest
Seawald?
questions.
Or
I think J Mart's your guy. Like, he's the guy for the future. I think it's his position. You know, I feel like that's the guy. I don't know. I would much rather take a guy that can, throw 100.
right.
And
Nick looks like he has indigestion right now.
I know. Like,
Yeah.
are you okay?
There's no good answers. There really are not.
If Paul Seawald comes trotting out of the bullpen, what is Twitter going to look like? I mean, who cares what Twitter looks like? But I enjoy it, or X, or whatever it is. I mean, if he comes running out, because Torrey wants to go back to him, right? I mean, like
Yes.
he said that.
Multiple times. And you can't.
Who do you trust more, Martinez or Seawald, or
Martinez, probably.
Eduardo Rodriguez or Jordan Montgomery here?
I guess the dream scenario
Yeah.
is that you're playing a team with a bunch of righties in the lineup and you save Puck for the ninth because he's
Right.
awesome.
Right.
Yeah,
Eventually,
he's
I
good.
wonder if he gets there as well.
I think they need him or they want him for
To be the
seventh,
super-
eighth inning against the
Yeah.
lefties.
super reliever, guy who can come in a huge situation and get it out, and it doesn't have to be in the ninth inning.
Yeah.
Makes sense. All right, final topic here. Arizona State, what we watched Saturday night. Could we have a scenario here where we're talking about could they get into this 12-team thing? I mean, is this crazy? Like, they beat an SEC team,
Not a good one.
right,
But-
and had the big comeback. But and I don't think they necessarily threw the ball that well. But I'm a little worried about them going to Texas State this week too, because Texas State's big, and we were talking with intern Henry back there, and he says a lot of seniors. So, yeah, I mean, how much fun could this be? What's our expectations for ASU?
Well, this is going to be a huge test because it's a short week. They play
Right.
on Thursday. Cam Scadaboo is probably not going to be 100%.
Right.
He's going to be. He needs to get as much rest as he can. But yeah, I just feel like it's a lot more fun on Saturdays when ASU is rolling and they're competing, and like they're putting up. What was it? It was 27 points, right? They were up 27 in the beginning of the third.
That was like 3:00 in the morning in Buffalo. I couldn't. I tried.
But it was so much fun just to
Yeah.
see it happening, and I love what I see with Sam Levitt as well. I really
Yeah.
think I love like the mobility that he brings. He's got an arm. He's athletic. I think I think they could do some things.
It's been an impressive first 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Like any way you slice it. Two impressive wins. Yes, I think playoff talk is crazy.
It might be, but you have had the Associated Press Offensive Player of the Week in the state of Arizona
Two
the
weeks in a
first
row.
2 weeks. Yeah. So, and every time you don't expect anything out of teams locally, I mean, I've been here since, I don't even know how long I've been here. 06. How many? 18 years. Yeah. It's just crazy. I mean, I'm not going to go ahead and predict this, but I think Kenny knows how to win football games. I mean, he beat UCLA last year without a quarterback. He was running the swinging gate. I think he can figure out ways to beat teams.
I think it's a huge step in the right direction.
Right.
Like, that is obvious.
Right.
It was a painful viewing experience the last couple of seasons.
Yeah.
So they are on the right track, and they probably needed it, like, for Kenny to, and a long way to go this season, but needed a decent year two.
Yeah.
After what they had the last 2 years. I think they're on track for a decent year too. That's about as far as I want to go right now.
Right. I think kind of like the Cardinals, there's the depth isn't there yet. I think we accomplished a lot. Anything else you want to get off your chest before we go back to work?
No, I got nothing right now. Other than I can't remember whether we said this in the pre-recording or the actual recording.
By the pre-recording, he means the recording that we did of the podcast that I forgot to record. That's the pre-recording.
I just want to see NFL offenses are here, like, more dictating what's going on.
Right.
Because and maybe a football person can tell me I'm dead wrong about this, but it's just been for a couple of years now. Like, well, this is what the defense gave us. You have to take what the defense is giving you. About why Marvin Harrison Jr. didn't get more touches, why there aren't more balls thrown downfield. At some point, there has to be a way for the offense to dictate more,
right,
than what they did in the second half. That's all I got.
Need more talent, but they're getting there. All right, we shall see against the Rams. Post-game show on Arizona's Family immediately afterward, and we'll talk to you very soon. Once again, right back here on the Extra Point Podcast.
This is The Extra Point, an Arizona's Family Originals podcast, sponsored by your Phoenix Suns.